Season by season, non-league football is growing in size, and with this, crowds have been growing too, with attendances in the thousands across the non-league pyramid. And today I'm going to be taking a look at the top 10 non-league stadiums in England with the largest capacities. Let's get into it. At number 10 we have the LNER Stadium, home to York City, with a capacity of 8,005. It was opened in 2021 after York left their spiritual home, Bootham Crescent, and is shared with the York Knights Rugby Club. Now this ground, unlike Bootham Crescent, is located on the outskirts of the York city centre. There's lots of facilities around it like a Hollywood Bowl, restaurants and shops, and there's also a massive car park, so it's similar to other grounds we've seen who have done this same sort of thing like Oxford United and MK Dons. At number 9 on the list we have the Walk Stadium, home to Kings Lynn Town, with a capacity of 8,200. It's a much older stadium, with it being built in 1879, and it was home to Kings Lynn and then taken over by Kings Lynn Town when the original club folded. It's got this big main stand here with the club colours embedded into the seats of yellow and blue, and then it's also got the two dugouts situated just in front of the main stand, with a really nice touch, I think, the home and away teams lettering put inside of there. I like the colours, yellow. It's a bright, vibrant ground and one that I really do want to visit in the future. At number 8 we have Twerton Park, home to Bath City Football Club, with a capacity of 8,840. It's been used as a stadium since the 1930s, but was badly damaged by bombs during World War II. Bristol Rovers played here for a decade in the late 20th century after leaving their former Eastfield ground. It has terracing around three sides of the ground, making up most of the capacity, and from standing on the terraces you can see this fantastic scenery of hillsides and mountains. You've then got the main stand in the middle there, with the two dugouts situated just in front of it, like Kings Lynn Town we just saw. Unfortunately, not all of the stadium is currently open, with only around half of its capacity available for fans. However, I'm sure as Bath City progress up the leagues, they'll then eventually open up the rest of the stadium as attendances increase. At number 7 we have Glanford Park, home to Scunthorpe United, with a capacity of 9,088. It's a relatively new one, being opened in the 80s, but they do want to move to a new ground in the future, with a site just 900 metres away already being identified. They've had their fair share of good and bad times seen here at Glanford Park, with ownership troubles in recent times and also a massive fall from grace, going from Championship football all the way down to regional football, with them currently playing in the National League North. However, I'm sure over the next few years they will make a return to their former days of glory. An iconic game played here was their cup tie with Manchester United back in 2010. At number 6 we have, and sorry for the bad pronunciation, Huish or Huish Park, not sure how you say that one, but it's the home of Yeovil Town Football Club, with a capacity of 9,565. It's also new, as it was completed in 1990, and over half of the capacity is made up by the two seated stands, and then you've also got two standing terraces too, making for a cracking atmosphere. It's another club who are on the up, with Yeovil just recently winning the National League South, and they're going to be playing in the National League next season. Halfway through the list we've got at number 5 Scotland, home to Rochdale AFC, with a capacity now over 10,000 of 10,249. It was opened in 1878 but taken over by Rochdale in 1907 and is shared with the Rochdale Hornets Rugby Club. It had its pitch recently refurbished after the club drew Spurs in the FA Cup, and their then manager Pochettino quite funnily said it was in no condition to play football. The ground has a massive terrace behind the goal along with three seated stands. Rochdale is another club who have experienced a fall from grace, and they currently play in the National League. At number 4 we have the Gateshead International Stadium, home to Gateshead FC, with a capacity of 11,800. As you can see, it's used for athletics with a running track around the pitch, but has been used since the Gateshead Football Club since the 1970s. Now this ground was recently in the news, not for any good reasons unfortunately, as Gateshead made the National League playoff places but were kicked out because they don't have a 10-year lease for the ground, because it wasn't given to them by Gateshead Council. This meant that it didn't meet the EFL requirements, so if they were to play in the playoffs and won, they wouldn't be able to be promoted. So a whole season's hard work just sort of thrown down the drain like that. It's an issue that should have been addressed earlier before the end of the season arrived, and it's one where I really do have to feel sorry for Gateshead. We're now into the top 3, and at third place we have Rochdale, home to Southend United, with a capacity of 12,392. Now, this is a proper stadium. I've been there many a time, and it's always got a cracking atmosphere, and it's always filled up with, regular crowds of 6,000 or 7,000 people. It was built and moved into by Southend United in 1955, but interestingly they actually played on the same site upon formation in 1906, when there wasn't a stadium there and it was just a patch of grass. There were plans to move to a new stadium called Fossett's Farm, another one on the outskirts of the city centre, but this never went through. Of course, there was ownership troubles, the club were on the brink of extinction, but luckily I believe they've now been taken over, or at least have almost been taken over, by an Australian consortium, and brighter days are definitely ahead for this club. Picking up the silver medal in second place is Boundary Park, home to Oldham Athletic, with a capacity of 13,500. It's a stadium which once saw Premier League football, as Oldham were founder members of the Premier League in 1992, but similar to Scunthorpe United, they've experienced a massive fall from grace, now playing in the National League. The stadium was sold by the club's owner, but last year was bought back by new owner Frank Rothwell, bringing the club and stadium back under single ownership for the first time in over a decade, which is some really nice positive news. And in first place we have the Shea, home to FC Halifax Town, with a capacity of 14,081. It was built in 1921 as home to Halifax Town, who folded in 2008, but was immediately taken over by the Phoenix club FC Halifax Town, who currently play in the National League. Because of its sheer size, it's also shared with the Halifax Panthers Rugby Club. The site that this ground is on actually dates back hundreds of years, and some of its uses prior to football were as a trench digging practice site during the First World War, and as an estate owned by one of the wealthiest men in the area during the reign of Henry VIII. The ground has 2 standing terraces behind either goals, and then 2 main stands either side of the long sides of the pitch. Well, there we go, the top 10 highest capacity stadiums in non-league football. As I said earlier on, attendances in non-league in England are growing season by season. They're into the thousands now for many clubs, not just in the National League, but below that in regional football. And I'd really encourage you, if you haven't already, to go and visit your local non-league club, because I'm sure they'll really appreciate the help.